Welcome back to Sneaker Impact News. I'm your host, Bryan the Botanist, and today I have a special interview with Terry Schalow from the Running Industry Association, or RIA. Terry currently serves as the Executive Director of the Running Industry Association, a nonprofit organization that supports the brick and mortar retail running channel or industry throughout the United States and Canada. RIA members include independently owned stores, the brands that sell within the industry, and the companies that provide services and support the industry. Before his role with the RIA, Terry worked at ASICS for many years, so he is truly a running industry expert. The RIA is one of our valued partners at Sneaker Impact, and the people behind the brand, like Terry, are the ones helping make a positive impact. We want to share their story and mission with you. Welcome, Terry. How are you?
I'm doing great, Bryan. Thanks.
Awesome. Where are you joining us from today?
I am joining from my home office in Encinitas, California, which is a little surf beach community just north of San Diego. And it's a lovely day here. It's been raining in Southern California, so we're happy to see the sun.
Amazing. I'm joining you from sunny Miami. We've gotten to know each other the last year by being part of your organizations. Can you share some of your background with our audience?
Sure. I'll start with the background. I started in this business working as a sales rep with ASICS many years ago, and that parlayed into product side. I ran the performance running design and development division in ASICS for many years before I went over into a more executive role with them as one of their brand managers. And then about 8 years ago, I left ASICS and took over the executive director role at Running Industry Association. And that's the role that I enjoy today. So I had a great run at ASICS, learned a lot, and enjoyed the brand side. And the Running Industry Association has been a new challenge for me, although 8 years in, it's not that new anymore, but we're growing and we're constantly evolving. And so that in itself keeps me busy.
What got you started in the running industry with ASICS? Were you a runner, cross country?
Yeah, I ran college, and it's funny, our school was sponsored by another brand, but one of the kids on a team one day showed up with a pair of, they were called Tigers back then. And they were, I thought, a really ugly shoe because of the color. And I mentioned that. And the guy says to me, you know what? You can make fun all you want, but you'll put a pair of these on and you'll never want to wear anything else again in your life. And I was suitably intrigued. So I went and tried them. And I thought he was right. And I said to myself, you know what? I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go work with this company because anyone who can make a shoe this good, I want to be a part of. So that's what I did. I graduated school and convinced them to hire me.
Wow. So you've truly seen the shoe and running industry evolve over the last 20 plus years.
It goes farther back than
Yeah, I didn't want to put an exact number out there.
Date myself.
But we're talking about the late 70s.
Closing in on 40.
Yeah, well, you look great. I mean, we were talking about bad hair before the podcast. You've got better hair than me, so.
No, I've definitely seen some changes over the years.
I was reading the Shoe Dog book by Phil Knight. Tells you a little bit on it, but I think
book.
ASICS is also an incredible company. I wear the Nova Blast, and I like a lot of different companies, and I like that they care about sustainability and that they care about the planet.
Yeah, it's a great brand, and so are all the other brands that belong to our organization. They all have unique product stories, and that's what keeps it interesting. But I'm a product guy to my core. I consider the RIA a product. I don't really approach the management of it any differently than when I manage the product line at ASICS. So but they're doing these brands out there have such compelling product solutions, and they work in a broad variety of ways. And it's just really cool to see how the industry has evolved.
Absolutely. And we're going to get into that today with technology and with the RIA. Can you share more about your role at the RIA?
Our mission is very simply to support the run specialty channel of trade. And so all the brick and mortar independently owned running stores around the United States, we want to see them stay competitive. But obviously our goal is to be collaborative and create connections. And so we welcome into membership, not just the running stores, but the brands that sell to them. And then our associate partners, the third-party platforms that provide services to either brands or retailers, are members of our organization as well. So we want to create a holistic, connective, and collaborative experience for our members, and again, do what we can to ensure the health of the run specialty channel. the bottom line is that means that running stores stay healthy, because when running stores stay healthy, then everyone's healthy. It's good business for everyone. And the good news is the run specialty channel has hit a stride unlike anything we've ever seen before. It's even in the last few years, it's grown 50%. It's just been phenomenal growth. There were those out there that predicted that internet and e-com sales and big box retailers would spell the end of specialty retailers. And that absolutely it's been the opposite. Run Specialty has figured out ways to connect with their customers to create fantastic shopping experiences. And that's what's kept the channel healthy. So our goal is to ensure that it remains healthy.
Awesome. So within the running industry, what's the ultimate goal?
Obviously, the ultimate goal is to support the channel in any way we can. But I think ultimately it's to ensure that we are thought leaders in the evolution of how we do business with each other and how we connect to our customers. And that's changed. And they say that the internet was a huge revolution in terms of how we connect with each other as a society. And obviously we've seen the negative impact of that with social media and things like that, but it's had an impact nonetheless, and it's changed the world. The next thing coming is going to be AI. And we believe very strongly that using the tools that AI provides is going to help us improve how we do business and how we connect with each other. And more importantly, how we connect with our customers. And I believe that there will be tools that will be in common use 5 years from now that haven't even been invented yet, but it's coming. And the RAA needs to be a thought leader there and help pull our membership along and learn right alongside them. And so that will be our goal. And we are increasingly becoming a data-driven organization in terms of how we using data to figure out how to connect with our members better, make those more personal connections, but also how we can use data to inform decisions and use data to better connect with our customers. Ultimately, it's getting people to come into Run Specialty stores and providing the tools to make that happen, to create efficiencies there is really, I think, going to be our focus going forward.
Absolutely. You mentioned that you just got back from a conference before the call. Do you want to tell us that was about what it was about and some of the things you learned there?
Yeah, it's one of our partners. We're working on a huge data-driven product called the Product Data Collaborative. And that is simply one of the challenges for our retailers and brands is managing product data in all of its forms. And it's a pain point for retailers because they need to secure product data from brands to be able to use it to upload it into their POS systems. To if they've got using a third-party e-com platform, they need product data to inform those sales. Their digital marketing platforms, it's just product data is used in a number of ways, but the process of securing, formatting, managing product data is cumbersome, time consuming, and expensive. And so we've introduced and are getting ready to bring to market the Product Data Collaborative, where it's essentially going to be a clearinghouse of brand product data where we'll secure the data from the brands, have it in one place, have it formatted so retailers can just go in, select their assortments, large or small, and instantly download those assortments into templates for easy upload into their third-party systems. Again, creating massive levels of efficiencies and making it easy for our brands as well. They have to field individual requests for their product data. Now it'll all just be in one centralized location, and it's universal access. And so that's the key part of it. Everyone is invited to our pool party, so to speak. We'll have this data, and whether they be brand, retailers, third parties, we want to make sure that everyone has access to the tool. And we think in that way, because everyone's now working from the same data set, less chance of the data being corrupted. And once everyone's using the same data set, all these transactional efficiencies are improved. So we're really excited about it. But now getting around to answer your question, we got involved with this project and we're using a third party to build the platform for us. And that company is called ContentServe. They recently held a conference in Chicago and invited me to come and speak there. But I was the only person that was actually comes from a layman's perspective. Everyone else there in the IT, we'll call it coding
Mhm.
world. And these people are computational geniuses, and just listening to these people speak and talking about what, not what is available now, but what's coming and what's being developed that will improve efficiencies, help us inform our decision, and obviously help us connect with our customers, not in a broad-based way, but in an individual way where brands, if you're a fan of a particular brand, that brand is going to, or a running store is going to speak to you, Bryan Huberty, directly because they understand you individually, and the tools that will be provided to help foster that connection and that more individual and personalized connection to you are being improved all the time.
Wow.
If it sounds big brothery,
Mhm.
it is a little bit, but at the same time, this is the
It's a
direction it's
natural
going.
evolution, right? Yeah, everything's heading
It
towards.
is in helping us understand you better,
Mhm.
you, Bryan Huberty, better.
I am a runner.
And,
Yeah, and I worked in
and
running
yeah,
stores, and I
and
love running
what,
stores.
yeah, but how do you like to run? Where do you like to
Mhm.
run? What products do you like to use? Where do you like to go? And all these things help us serve your needs better. It's not about trying to really sell you more stuff from a more altruistic perspective. It's, hey, what's Bryan need? Let's figure out what Bryan wants, needs, and then we can help message that and help Bryan in his path towards whether it's self-improvement or your running goals, race goals, whatever it is, there's help our members connect to you better. And that's what I think that's where this is going. And what I learned was these tools that are coming online will help foster all of that. And it's all going to be AI driven. So we need to be thought leaders there and really turn over every stone we can to understand where this is going and then make sure that our members understand it too.
That's really great that the RA is diving deep into the technology and AI.
Yeah. But we need to walk our talk too.
Mhm.
We want to provide these tools for our members, but at the same time, it's how we're going to better connect with our members and speak to them individually
Sure.
too. We've learned that you just can't blast out emails to everyone. There's only so many that they can absorb in there. It's really a competition for everyone's attention, what it is these days. It's funny because what we've learned on the marketing side is that a really solid open rate on emails is maybe between 40 and
Mhm.
50%. That means that from my perspective, that 50 to 60% of our members don't know what we're doing because they didn't open an
That's
email.
true.
And how can we connect with them in a more personal way to ensure that they understand what we're doing to support them? You can't use the tools that we provide if you don't know they exist. And that is a huge challenge for us, is to evolve away from just these, I won't call email an archaic way of communicating, but in some ways it is. And so we need to make sure that we communicate with our members in the way they want to communicate it with and how they want to absorb content and information. We need to understand that on an individual basis so we're better at it and make sure that they understand the value that this organization provides.
Yeah. Do you have any other major challenges besides getting the word out?
Is palpably over the last year or two that, connection was an issue. And that's not our fault. It's not our members' fault. It's just the tools that were being used. And they say that definition of insanity is just doing the things the same way and expecting different results,
Mhm.
right? And we can't do that anymore. It doesn't matter if you're the RAA or your Sneaker Impact or you're a retailer or a brand. If you're static, you're falling behind. And so we can't be static. We have to constantly be progressive in our thinking. And that doesn't mean change for the sake of change. It means diving in, turning over stones, understanding the complexity of the issues out there, and then having very strategic goals in terms of how you're going to, based on the research that you've done and informed decision making, how you're going to evolve your organization. And again, that holds true whether you're RAA, Sneaker Impact, brand, retail, it doesn't matter. You got to be progressive. You got to keep making informed decisions to move your organization forward in new ways. And that's as incumbent on the RAA as it is everyone else out there.
That's true. You have to keep
So
keep creating too, right?
and then there's the concept of innovation. And how do you innovate? And I've always felt from the product side, it's easy to say, oh, we want to innovate, we want to innovate. But what does innovate really mean? It doesn't come out of the ether. Innovation comes from being so immersed in a topic and understanding a topic so well and understanding the complexity of it that the vision and the direction just presents itself because you're so well informed. And then that decision the path just reveals itself. And I think that's where true innovation comes from, is understanding whatever the topic is, whatever the subject matter is. And Einstein didn't come up with the theory of relativity out of the ether. He studied Max Planck. He was a student of physics. And so he used other learnings out there and he absorbed other learnings to come up. Now, the guy was a genius, and certainly not going to compare myself or the RIA to genius, but at the same time, it's a good example. Even geniuses have to build on something.
Sure.
They don't just create. And so that's where innovation comes from. And that's what we need to do, is understand the complexity of whatever it is we're trying to be better at so well. Again, that the direction just reveals itself.
That's great. I wanted to chat a little bit about the Sneaker Impact. We've gotten involved with the Running Industry Association for the last year. We met about a year ago, Terry, and I heard that we needed to connect with you guys because outside of the running event in Austin, the recommendation given to me by one of my dear friends who's a running store owner in South Florida was that the former event that you held, which now is being called Run Summit, was the place to be to connect on a more intimate basis with brands and with stores than a massive event like the running event in Austin. So can you tell us a little bit about just what you thought about Sneaker Impact getting involved last year with the event you put on? If we can, I don't know if we can name it because I know the name has changed and how we refer to last year versus this year.
We used to call it Run Shell, and it was time to rebrand because the spirit of it was based on getting the industry back together after COVID. But it's truly a working show, and we wanted the name to reflect that. So the summit made more sense. And so we said goodbye to that ending and moved on to something new.
So the new name is Run Summit.
The Run Summit, that's correct. And again, it's an organic show in that it's for and by our members, and we're always going to we want to present the most value in this kind of boutique atmosphere. And we're going to evolve the show based on the feedback of our members, the people who attend and ask what they want. And so the summit is a name that can fit under whichever direction this thing goes, that name still is going to apply. It's us getting together as an organization.
I like that.
And so the summit made sense to us. And I don't know if it's particularly clever, but it says what we want it to say. And so that's the name. But yeah, that's what we're doing. It's a boutique style event. And that's not to say in our industry, the running event is a terrific event. We work very well with our partner there at DibCom who put that on, and we support that event. It's just different than what we do.
I love.
And both events can provide their value. Ours is obviously much smaller, but it's intended to be. It's a boutique event that allows us to come together, to talk to each other, to connect, not just seeing lines or having meetings with brand executives and retailers, but to really be able to talk to each other, socialize. There's lots of social opportunities there, whether it be runs or cocktail hours or industry party. We want people to form relationships there, and in a small boutique environment that's possible. And so that's one of the core strengths of that event. And we've got our top brands there. We have our associate partners there. We always invite in what we call emerging brands because we want to expose our members to new product stories that can differentiate their assortments and give people a reason to come in and see what's new in the store. And so we believe very strongly in exposing these new brands to our retail partners. There's a lot that we do there, but that show will constantly evolve based on what our members want.
And can you tell us the date and location, a little bit more about the week?
Yeah, sure. It's in St. Louis. It's a new location for us, but it's the Union Station Hotel, which is an incredible property. And it's just a really cool spot, and it provides plenty of meeting space for us, which we had outgrown our former location in terms of what our needs were. And so this property provides that for us. And we're excited to be in St. Louis. And so April 29th, we'll kick off with an evening event, and then we'll be into the working portion of the show the following 2 days, and then it's a half day on Thursday, May 2nd, show in. So we're excited about that. I do want to circle back to the connection with Sneaker Impact because, yeah, we met a year ago, but what struck us about your company, because there's other companies that do what you do. But what struck us about Sneaker Impact was the fact that you guys were so transparent in your business practices and so transparent about what you do. Because quite honestly, it can be a little gray with some competitors out there of yours. And you're wondering if they're really, you're not quite sure where product is going and they don't have the sustainability story that Sneaker Impact does.
Sure.
And really diving into it is what set Sneaker Impact apart. One of the things that really struck us was your enthusiasm.
Thank you.
You and your team were you're so excited about what you do and you're so excited about connecting with our members, and it showed. You guys dove right in. It wasn't like you were,
we're not shy.
They're engaging and you're not shy, and that's great. And so we love that. And so anyway, but to answer your question is, we exist as a trade organization to support the commerce of running. So it's not our core mission to focus on sustainability. That's what Low Impact Alliance does. But certainly, like Low Impact Alliance and like the Running Industry Diversity Coalition, there are organizations that are causes and initiatives that we believe in. We can't just say, oh, we're all about making sure that we sell a bunch of running shoes. We have to not be blind to what's happening out in society and ensuring that the RIA and the running industry in general, that we're thought leaders there too, and pushing in our little corner of the world, making sure that we're messaging the general consumers properly and our membership properly. So we participate in positive change, whether that be supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion, or supporting sustainability. And so we need to make sure that we're supporting these causes. And so the fact that you guys, you work with LIA and you're constantly messaging the right story, and we obviously want to support that message, support you in those efforts. And that's how the RIA needs to engage, and we will. And it's part of connecting with consumers too. We have to have some sort of consumer facing connection, because ultimately that's what helps support all of us, and supporting these organizations that do connect with people out there. That's important. That's one of the directions that we'll continue to focus on.
How do you personally run and live sustainably?
That's a really good question. I don't throw my shoes away anymore. I used to. Eventually they'd end up in a landfill, so I donate them to homeless people in my community, that I just make sure I'm not throwing them away. My wife and I now are composting, which has been an interesting journey for us, because learning how to do it and know what, and processing our food waste and things like that, and know what can be composted, has really helped reduce the stuff we throw in the garbage. And we live in Southern California, and even though it's been really rainy the last couple of years, that's just a brief respite from what's coming, which is going to be a lot of dry weather, and drought will be back in Southern California. And I think every home needs rainwater collection that can be used to irrigate, and we should be growing our own produce in our yards and that's one thing that we're doing too. We got this little herb garden. Another thing is we go to the grocery store and use our own grocery bags, but we don't buy plastic Ziploc bags anymore, or garbage bags or anything. We buy biodegradable storage bags and garbage bags. That's really important to us. It's a small thing, but if the trend goes towards more and more people doing, that'll start to have an impact. The billions and billions of tons of waste that goes into landfills every year, probably trillions of tons. I don't know, but it's not good. And we've got to figure out a way to make it better. Single-use plastic is just, it kills. It just absolutely kills.
Yeah.
And it's hard to avoid it. I'm not to the point where I'm not going to make a purchase because they're using single-use plastic, but that doesn't mean that I like it. And it's becoming more and more prevalent, and that's a problem. In addition to that, we talk about recycling and reuse, and that's great. The unfortunate thing is, and the dirty little secret of recycling is, that itself uses a lot of energy
Mhm.
to recycle.
And there's wish cycling, right? Have you heard of wish cycling? People think that a lot of things can be recycled and a lot of things can't be recycled yet. And then also they need to be
I think
cleaned.
this
Your salsa jar or your
mm,
pizza box, that can't be recycled necessarily like it is. It can be considered like dirty. All municipalities won't accept. I used to live in Miami Beach and I was told at the building that I worked at that the city wasn't recycling. I was doing all this work to separate cardboard and they were not even, so there's uncertainty to the public,
but the
mindfulness.
dirty little secret
Yeah.
here is that only 10% of the to your
Yeah.
point, only 10% of the material that's presented for recycling is actually
Oh, that's
recycled.
true. We're not set up.
And it's
Yeah, we're not set up to process, and it's a lot of it's shipped overseas, just
or just
mixed.
ends up in a
Sure.
landfill or what have you, and God forbid it ends up in the ocean. But when we talk about recycling, reuse, using recycled materials, making product out of recycled materials, but we don't talk a lot about, and it needs to be a bigger part of the conversation, is biodegradation. And there are materials out there and there's technology coming that where additives can go into any type of petroleum-based product, plastics, the fabric in our shirts, if it's got polyester,
Mhm.
oil-based, and their biodegradation using additives that are out there on the marketplace that can go into these products at the manufacturing point, and that so when they hit a landfill, they biodegrade in a year or two instead of 200 or 300
Sure.
years. And biodegradation and the technology behind it needs to be a larger part of the conversation. And I'm not saying recycling is great. We need to do it better. We need to focus on it. Obviously, we're using our resources far too rapidly, consuming less
Consuming
of our natural
efficiently.
resource and using materials that are more readily reproduced,
Sure.
bamboo instead of other types of
You're
wood
seeing
and
that
what
now
have
with a lot of the
you.
running shoes at TRE. I know we saw a lot of the uppers are, 70 to
Mhm.
100% recycled, but it costs
Yeah,
more to use recycled materials versus virgin materials.
it does. It's
Yeah, you
expensive.
gotta clean
Yeah.
it, you gotta repurpose, you gotta break it down and build it back up. But it is an important practice. But the most important practice, I think, like you said, is being mindful consumers to not.
And that's another thing is right now, the buying decision is not primarily directed. It's the top priority in terms of buying decision is not whether something's made out of recycled materials. It's the maybe price,
Mhm.
maybe fit and comfort, but it needs to be because if consumers start to demand that their products that they use are more sustainable, then obviously brands are going to go along. So I think the real challenge is to make sustainability a bigger priority for consumers.
That's true.
Investing in that and helping carbon credits and things like that, where there is a financial plus side to brands moving towards lowering their carbon footprint and being able to track and monitor it, and
Absolutely.
the government supporting that, but also coming from the other side from just individuals deciding that they are not going to use single use plastics. At some point, I have to say no. And of course, the easiest thing that all of us can do is stop buying plastic water bottles.
Mhm.
Stop. And when we host the summit, we're not going to be handing out plastic water bottles.
Mhm.
We have to take part in that too. We have to lower our impact in everything that
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah. So speaking of events, what have been some of your favorite events that you've gone to?
Yeah, the one I just detailed, that conference on AI, is at the top of my list because it was such an eye opener for me in understanding the tools that they need to use. That was huge for me. But of course, it's I think back on my career as a runner, which is winding down. The competitive juices are they're way in the past. Quite honestly, I ride an elliptical bike way more because my body just doesn't like the impact much
Yeah.
anymore. And riding that is so low impact.
And it
They're just down the street from me in Solana Beach, and they're great guys. I ride with those guys. We did a group ride, and we ask about events. They do this thing up here in San Diego, up Palomar Mountain. It's a race straight up the mountain, 13 miles, and it's hard. But participating in events that are outside what I've done in the past and just exposing myself to new ways to remain fit as I age. When you get into middle age, you're not there yet, but you'll find you got to do a variety of things to keep yourself fit, and participating in those things.
Yeah.
I'd say that's the thing
Yeah.
that's probably I enjoy the most, expanding my horizons and not just thinking about running every day.
Sure. You and your wife, do you like to
Yeah. Yeah.
travel? What other passions do you have outside of running?
Yeah, we actually just got back from visiting our son in
Oh,
Barcelona.
wow.
He's doing his semester overseas. He's in school. And I'll tell you what, one of the things I personally enjoy is travel and particularly eating while I'm enjoying local food. And it's, there's countries in Europe that are known as foodie countries. So Spain, Italy, France, but Spain's got its own unique flavor. Right?
Las Ramblas. Yeah, I've been to
That's right.
Barcelona.
We actually stayed, my son's apartment is close to that. So we stayed close by. That's a little insane, but we like to get off the beaten path and get into the neighborhoods and go into local places and getting off the tourist track. But sometimes you can't avoid it, exploring the little seaside villages and Costa Brava, things like that. And again, finding little bistros to sit and eat and enjoy the local fare and seeing how people live. That's just, to us, that's what makes life really rich. And so that's a big focus for us.
Are there any future projects coming up?
Yeah, the data collaborative is the big deal for us. That's product data collaborative. And that is weeks away from launching. It has been a colossal project, and complexity, to use the word that is complex, barely described just how detailed it was required. Think about this. You've got hundreds of brands out there and they all put their product. There's no standard for how do they organize the product data. So being able to absorb it into one platform to take that product data in, not require brands to format it themselves, just bring it in, and then having our system with AI-based tools format and standardize it. So then our retailers can easily go and access that. That has just been just a huge product. It's been 2 years in the making.
And people will be able to
And
access that through your website?
yeah, it's a members tool.
Wow.
Yeah. And so you log in and there will be a dashboard. And so they'll be able to see what seasons they've downloaded and what they've already used. But in addition to that, whenever anything new comes out, they'll get notifications, and just making it easier for our brands and retailers to do business with each other. That's what this is going to do. And it's been a risky and expensive undertaking, and risky in that, hey, we don't know what the adoption rate is going to be. We think we have an idea. If we execute, I think we'll get a pretty broad adoption rate. But for the success of this, it's going to require broad adoption, which means that when we put it out there, when we introduce it for the first time, it's got to be right. It can't just be, it's just okay. It's got to, wow, this is great. And we've had delays. I have to be transparent about that, because as we get in, sometimes you just don't know. You get into the project and you get feedback from a lot of retailers and brands that have been assisting us with putting their eyeballs on it and trying it out, and betas of the platform. And you just realize we need to build more. We need to make this better. We need to improve this. And an example of that is filtering. How you access the product data is, from a retailer's perspective, requires a magnitude of different filters. So they can go access the product any way they want, whether it be, say, hey, I just want to download the entire brand catalog from Brooks or Hoka. They can do that. But some of them may just want to say, do a search for, I want to look for black running socks. They can type that into the search and it will filter that. And so it gets that granular in terms of the filtering. And that will be ongoing. It's like any kind of online tool or platform. It doesn't stay static. You introduce it, you get feedback, and you continue to refine it. That's why they have iOS 1.0 through you have constant new iterations of of software and platform. And this will be no different. And so we'll continue to refine it, add value, add more features as we go, but you got to put something out there. And we're going to start out with basically the Excel-based data. So UPC code style and color code, which is probably what 90% of our retailers will want to use first and foremost. Then we'll add access to product images. We'll have map pricing, product descriptions, all that stuff. But the first phase will be that Excel-based product data that is going to be the most broadly used. And then we'll continue to refine as we go. And in addition to that, we know very clearly, and I mentioned it earlier, that connecting with our customers on a more personalized basis is really critical. So that will be a big direction for the RIA going forward in 2020.
Awesome. How do people learn more about the RIA, join to become a member, stay in touch with Terry, and all these great things?
Go to runningindustry.org. It's all right there. All the stuff that we do that's where you want to check it out. We are, again, a members-based organization. Our membership is focused on brick and mortar run specialty stores, the brands that sell to them, and companies that provide services there. If anyone fits that bill, come on in. We're happy to have you. But yeah, just go to our website, check it out. There's members-only tools that you have to be a member to get to, but there's still a lot of information there. And not everything we do is just member-based. We believe in supporting the industry in general. There's information that we provide through our database to non-members, just because if our mission is to support the channel, that sometimes means that we want to support those that are non-members as well. And there's things we can do to support them. And so we don't want to say, we're not supporting you because you're not a member. All boats rise when we help support the entire channel. So that's our goal too.
And I've seen you guys on Instagram. I know I follow you, and you guys are always trying to continue the conversation on there, which is free knowledge, obviously.
Yeah.
Connecting with.
Yeah. You can connect to us through Instagram and our Facebook page and what have you.
But coming to an event, I was not disappointed. So I have to say, as a testimonial, that the RIA, it didn't feel like a work conference. It felt fun, immersive, and it just was a cool experience. So this one coming up in St. Louis, it's a great place to come and meet people, make new partnerships, and learn.
That's a nice endorsement, Bryan. I appreciate that. Yeah. I'm glad that you see it that way, because that's the intent. Yeah. And I appreciate what you guys do.
Thank you.
So it's always great to partner with you, and appreciate your enthusiasm for what you do and supporting our organization as well. So it goes both ways.
Awesome.
So thanks for that.
Terry, thank you so much for your time today.
Of course.
We hope to chat with you more in the future. If you're ever in Miami, you got to come check out our new podcast studio that'll be ready in less than 1 week. Good luck with all of your projects and goals. Thanks for all your hard work, and we'll see you at Run Summit